Hi everyone. So we'll having another lecture on Android programming. This is module number 5 of the subject EC312 object oriented programming. So in this lecture we are going to see how we can set up an Android environment in our system. So there are many tools available for Android which can be used to develop applications for the Android operating system. So we look at the main tool, which is the Android Studio, how we can download it, install it, and create a new project through which we can develop a simple hello world application. So the main tools required for Android development is the Java development kit and Android Studio. So Android is developed using either the Java or there's a special language called as Kotlin. So if you are well versed in Java, then you can directly write your application in Android using Java. And as you know, to write application in Java, you need to have the Java development kit. So the first thing that you want to download for creating the environment is the Java development kit. That's the first and important module. And then you need to create the environment in which you can do the Android app development. And there are many environments available. The primary one is Android Studio. Eclipse is also another IDE or integrated development environment in which you can develop the application. But currently, most of the development is done in Android Studio. For Android Studio to work, you should have Android software development kit, and there are n number of requirements to install Android Studio because it is a very bulky package and it will consume a lot of your resources also. So you should have a minimum of 3 GB RAM, and you see that the recommended is 8 GB RAM. So you can visualize how much is the Android Studio software, because the Android emulator will take up a good amount of your memory. And then you will need to have a good screen resolution, and primarily it is for Windows. The Linux version is also available. So depending upon your choice of operating system, you can download the Android Studio. So you can get the latest Java development kit from this website. So currently Java is managed and developed by Oracle. So you can see if you go to this website, you will be able to find the appropriate Java development kit for your operating system, and you can download it and install. Android Studio you can download from developer.android.com. This is the latest version, 3.6.3. The size is pretty huge. It's around 700 MB, and even after you install or download and start installing, you can see that Android Studio will again download some extra bit of components which it requires for building the Android project. So once you download the exe file from Android Studio and double click the setup, you can see that this window appears. This is a welcome Android Studio setup. This is a bit older version. It's not 3.6.3, but the new version is almost identical. So you can just click next. It will ask for whether you want to install Android virtual device. It's an important part of our Android application in which we can simulate the application that we are writing in our Windows operating system itself. So give a tick mark for that and you click next. So it will give you a path in which it is going to install. If you want to change the path, you can change it. I would recommend not to change it. Then it will ask for whether you want to install in Android Studio in the start menu folder. You click install, it will start installing, And once it's completed, you can click next, and you can tick the Android Studio and you can say finish. So once it finishes and you click the Android icon, it will come as completed installation. And if you want to import settings of some previous installation, you can import it, or you can say don't import, and it will start up the Android Studio. So this is an older version of Android Studio, because of which you see a bit the newer version is a bit different. It has a blue background. This has a black background, and some bit of a difference are there. Now when it boots up, when the Android Studio opens up, if it finds that some of the SDK components are not available, it will start downloading from the Android repository. So you should make sure that you have enough data available so that the download will be a successful one. And the data, you need to have a good amount of data. Make sure that you have at least 1 GB remaining. And once it boots up, it will show the welcome wizard, and which shows that Android can be used in mobiles, watches, TV, car, or any other platform. You can click next. It will give you some tips, or it will give you whether you want to have a dark theme or a light theme. You can select the theme that you want, click next, and then it might list you some components that it still needs to get from the repository. So you can see that about 1.1 GB components are still more required, apart from the 700 MB you have downloaded for Android Studio. So it is better, you should make sure before installing Android Studio that you have enough data available in your pack. Once you are sure to install all of this, you can click finish. Now it will start downloading and installing the packages mentioned in the previous slide. So this will take a good amount of time to install, because there are a lot of packages to be downloaded and it needs to be installed. Depending on your system configuration, it will take more time to install or less time. So this is your download window. Now once it's installed, then it starts this window, which is the starting point of your project. So in Android Studio, what we are going to do is we are going to create a new project, using which we will code the Android application. We will also simulate the Android application, through which we will see that how the application works in actual mobile. So to illustrate that, let me start my Android Studio. So I have already Android Studio opened here. So this is 3.6.3, while that you are seeing in the slide is 3.2.1. So this is a bit older version. One is the newer one. So let me start new Android Studio project. So as I told earlier, Android Studio is a very bulky software. It will take good amount of time to start each and every things. My system is of very less RAM, so you might need to wait for some time to start everything. Okay, so once you click the project, then it will show you a screen in which you have tabs like phone and tablet, Wear OS, which is basically watch, TV, automotive, and add-on things. So this is called as an activity. If you look at your mobile, so whatever you interact with the software, the screen that you see for interaction with a software, Android's application, is called as an activity. And we'll see more of activity later. So we'll just select. So basically we are going to develop a simple hello world application where hello world is printed in the Android device. So we'll select Android empty activity, click next. So I can choose an application name. So I'll just say my application name is hello world, and it will automatically come the package name. You can create your own package name, or you can create a different package name, and you need to save the project somewhere. So Let me save it in the programming Android projects. Okay, so as I told earlier, the Android application development can be done in multiple languages. Kotlin is the newest language, or Java. So let me select Java because Java is the one which is more suitable for you. Then you need to select a minimum SDK. So as you know, the Android has developed multiple versions of its operating systems, and each of the operating system that it is developed is backward compatible. That means if you develop an Android application which is for, let's say, the latest one, Oreo or Pi or Q, then you can also install the same application in the older version, that is for example Jelly Bean. So that is called as a backward compatibility. But if you develop some application for Jelly Bean, the other way, if you develop some application for Jelly Bean, it is possible to run the application in Pi or Oreo. But if you develop for Pi or Oreo, it is not possible to run in Jelly Bean. So that is called as backward compatibility. So if you develop for Jelly Bean, basically it will run for about 99.8% of devices. Let's say if I choose Pi, you can see that the percentage of devices comes down. So let me go with the Jelly Bean for 0.1 version, and you can see, if you want, you can select the legacy libraries and you say finish. So now the application is starting up. The loading of the project will take a very good amount of time. So let's wait for some time to the project to load. So the project has loaded, and now if you see on the left side, you can see that you have the folder structure. So this is your project's folder structure, and it has directly opened the file main activity.java. So this is the starting point of your application, and in the main activity Java you will write your application. So it's the starting point. You can have multiple Java classes inside this. So you can see the main activity is an extended version of app compact activity class. So this is the superclass, and main activity is the subclass. And you can see the hello world package. By default it has name that if I have given in the starting. You see, if you click that dot dot, you will see that it will get expanded, and we'll see one by one. So all your main files are in, or the source files are in Java folder, and in the package name, under package name you will have the main activity. There is special files called as Gradle scripts. So Gradle is basically the build tool for your Android. So it is the one which actually builds or compiles everything and give you that executable application which you can see. So we will not be going too much into Gradle. So we'll be looking at mainly into the hello world application. So let's look at this. Let's look at main activity. So it creates, there's a function called as onCreate, which is actually defined in the superclass. So you are overriding this in the main activity subclass, and it is giving an instance. And let's don't worry about what the instances are currently. So, and it said something called as a layout content view for layout.activity main. So what do you mean by a layout? Layout is what you see in Android. For example, the position of buttons. So sometimes you will have your buttons arranged one by one at the top to bottom. Sometimes it will be in the left side, some buttons will be on the right side. So that arrangement of the user interface is called as a layout. So we will see much of a layout, and we are saying that we are using a layout called activity main. So where is the layout specified? So there is a folder called as res, which is called as resource. If you look down to resource, there is a folder called as layout. In the layout, there is a file called as activity underscore main.xml. If you click this file, you will see what I am talking about. So you can see that this is what your application looks like. To see more clearly, let me just show this application in terms of what you see in the phone. So if you want to see how it looks in your phone, you can just say show layout declarations. So this is how you will see, the application will see in your phone. So this is called as an activity. So whatever is there, whatever the user is going to interact with the application is called as an activity. Now you see that there is an hello world which is printed. So from where is the application taking this hello world? This UI or the user interface has a corresponding XML code written for this. If you want to find the XML code, you can just click on this code. You see the corresponding XML code. If you want to have both side to side, that is the UI and the XML code, you can just click this. Now you see there is something called as a text view. So hello world is a text and that you are viewing, and there are some other XML code here. It says the context is main activity, which is from main activity.java, and you set width and height and everything. In the text view, you say how much should be the width, how much should be the height. So how much should be the height of the text, how much should be the width of the text, what should be the text. So here it is said hello world. So let me just change this to EC312. So you can see that the text has changed. So similarly, you can add multiple components to this. For example, you see here button, image, scroll view, switch, etc. So you can just drag and drop and add to it into this. So that button will come into the picture, and if you want to add some text to this, you can just click here. So now there is a button field came, and there's a text inside the button is button. So you can change that to something else. So currently let's give only the text without the button, which is EC312-OOP. Now let's say now there is an important file for Android which is called as Android manifest.xml. This is the single most important file for your application. Here you will specify what is your application name, what are the activities that you are going to do, what are the messages that you are passing between the activities, what are the services you are running, etc, etc. So we will look deeper into this. So you see that the Android manifest file has the package from which you are getting the application. You say the backup allowed true. Now icon. So from where you should get the icon. So when you see, you have an icon for application which you see in your home screen. So the icon here is taken from @mipmap/ic_launcher. So where is this icon stored? So you see that in REST there is a mipmap. Inside mipmap there is a IC_launcher, and IC_launcher has multiple icons or the same icons in multiple formats. So this is the icon that you are going to see of your application. So now the label is what should be the label under the icon, and you see that it is string/app name. So if you go to REST, there is, so if you go to values in REST, there is something called as a string.xml file. You see that the name, app name is hello world. So if I change this to EC312-OOP, so this is your new app name that will be coming under the icon. So coming back to activity, and manifest.xml. Now round icon, if your icon should be round, from where it should be taking, Again, it is mip map slash ic underscore launcher underscore round. So again, if you look at mip map, go down, and there is the list of icons. There is something called as supports RTL. So you can write your language right to left or left to right. So RTL is right to left or left to right. For example, if you are using Arabic, you are writing from right to left. If you are using English or any other language, it is from left to right. So it can be set to true, which means it can support both versions of the language. Theme, again, it is from style slash app theme. So style is inside dress, values, styles, and you see that there is something called a color primary dark, and color accent. So, and the corresponding values of the color is mentioned in the left side. So color primary means, if you look at your Android view, this application color is this part of the color is the color primary. The topmost part is the color dark. So if I change this, let's see how it looks. So let's say I click it here, I change my color to the color to a custom color, let's say dark orange. Primary also I'm going to change to a much more darker color, or let me put it light and dark, and color accent let be same as itself. So now if I save this and let's go to the activity XML, so you can see that the colors got changed. So to illustrate it further, so let me just search as blue. Okay, so you can change how your application looks like using this activity.main XML file, and you can say the color configuration etc. in the manifest file. All the settings are there in which you can change. Now coming back, so here you are defining the activity. So currently we have only one activity, which is main activity. In the main activity you have defined something called an indent filter. So we will be discussing what indents are, and there are some XML code written for the indents, and indents is basically a message which is being passed from other activities or from other content providers etc. Okay, so now you have the hello world. Now how will this hello world looks in your application? For that, to simulate that, you need to have something called as a Android virtual or AVD, Android virtual device. So currently I have installed the virtual device for Nexus 1 and Pixel 2. If you are installing app for the first time, if you click it here, you will see only open AVD manager. So let's open our AVD manager. Now when you open AVD manager, for me it shows Nexus 1 API 2 and Pixel 2 API. In your case it will not show this. If you are using for the first time, it will only show create virtual device. If you click create virtual device, it will list all the devices that the virtual device manager supports. Mostly it is the devices from Google, and I would suggest select a device which is not of high configuration, because it will slow down your system. So Nexus 1 is of low configuration, that is why I selected that. Also you can select any device of TV, watch, tablet or automotive, and then you click next. Now when you click next, it will show the available Android versions for the device which supports in AVD. So this you need to select and download. If you are using R, which is the latest version, you need to click and download, and this is of high size, which is around 1.1 GB. So make sure you have enough data for this to install. So currently let's go back and let me just continue with the current one of the devices. So I'll select Nexus 1 API 22, which means I think Jelly Bean, and then I'll just click the run button. So when you click the run button, it will take a lot of time for the emulator to run, and it will show up a mobile screen with the app installed. So let me just run this. It will take some time. You can see that two processes are running. If you click the two processes, you can see the AVD is starting, and we'll see how it looks after display. So the AVD has come up. Let's look at how it looks. So this is actually a Nexus 1 mobile in which the Android OS is installed, along with, if you look into the applications, you can see that there is an application called EC313-OOP. If you click it, you can see how it looks. So this is basically what we have designed in our activity main.xml file. So in this way, you can write your application using your AVD manager. You can test it how it works in the actual Android platform in your mobile. So but the AVD manager consumes a lot of memory, because of which your system will go slow. Try to close all the other applications before running the AVD manager. And you can see that I have clicked activity main.xml, but it has not been yet came into effect. So this now it came. So now another important thing here is, if once you have turned on AVD manager, you close it only before closing Android Studio, because to run it again it will take another lot of time. So if you want to change anything, you can always do that change. For example, let's say I am going to change the value inside it into EC312-OOP-Android. Now let's say I want to see how it looks in my mobile. So what I can do is, instead of turning it on again, you can just click this button here, run the button, and the Android will start building using the Gradle, and then it will deploy it into your mobile application, which is in the AVD manager. So again, since the Gradle is building, it will take a lot of time to build. So be patient for some time if your system is slow or have lesser configuration. So now the build is finished. It has deployed it. Let's see how it looks. So now if you look at the application, you can see that now your application has printed EC312-OOP-Android. So whatever changes you make in this application structure in Android Studio, you can directly deploy it using the Android virtual device by selecting the appropriate device, and you can see how it actually looks in your mobile. Now this is an Android virtual device manager. You can connect your own mobile into this, and then you can see you need to install some driver softwares for a mobile, for the mobile to get detected here. It will list the mobile in this section, where the in available devices, it will list your mobile name, and then you want to enable USB debugging in your mobile, and then you can directly, using the run button, you can directly deploy it into your mobile. So the mobile is connected to your laptop via the USB, and then you can see how it runs in your actual mobile. So coming back to our presentation, so if you look at here, so this is how the project should be started, and so you can start the project, give the application name, give the company domain, etc. And then project location, this is for 3.2.3, we are using 3.6.3 because of which there will be a slight variation. You can select whether you are developing an application for phone, tablet, watch, TV, or Android, other Android things. So this here they have selected ice cream standard, which will approximately works for 100% of devices. Then you can select an activity. You can select any of the activities mentioned above. So currently it is an empty activity. You name the activity, you name the layout, you install the components. It will show you the project screen where you will have manifest, Java, REST folders, and in the Java folder you will have main activity, and main activity extends from app compact activity. Main activity has one overdone function called or method called onCreate, which accepts a saved instance state, and then you can set the layout here. In the Android.manifest file, you can set the name or the label under your icon and all other things that we have discussed. So the activity is for main activity. You can configure what is to be done in the main activity inside the Android XML file, and this is how the activity underscore main.xml file looks like, where you will have the UI part, and you can also select whether you want to view the text view, etc. in this one, and you can view the corresponding text view. So these are the things that we want to discuss in the Android environmental setup part of this lecture. We will not be doing much of a coding in Android, but if you want to do some amount of coding, I hope this lecture will help you in setting up your basic environment. Thank you.